Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year in 2024 to everybody. I wanted to give a quick update video on my 1986 M635 turbocharged Dinan car that I bought off of Bring a Trailer last summer, July of 2023. This is the second video installment. The first video, I'll put the link in this video so you can see when I first got the car. But as you guys know, there weren't too many of these cars that were built by Steve Dinan. The rough number is around a dozen or so, and I wasn't really looking for another car, but this was a rare opportunity to get one of those 10 or 12 cars that were made, and it was a neat opportunity, so definitely jumped on it. When I got the car, it had been sitting in a storage in Ohio for the better part of a decade. Before that, I lived in Canada, in Ontario. So when I got the car, it was definitely a little rough on the edges, meaning it had a lot of deferred maintenance and a fair bit of neglect. Even though it ran, and it ran quite well, I decided to tear into it and just kind of address everything and catch everything up. So in this video, I'll try and keep it as short as possible without boring you guys too much. I'll just kind of run through everything that I've done in the past 6+ months and show you some of the improvements I've made. A lot of what you can see, of course, is the powder coating, and of course it looks all good. The valve cover was powder coated, and any pipes that came off the car, they were all powder coated as well. For example, this pipe that connects the airflow meter to the turbo on the compressor side. I made a bunch of new brackets, like these two aluminum brackets right here to support the AFM. Before, it was kind of loose and supported only with one bracket, so I made these two, and they came out real well. I polished them and now the airflow meter is very solid and doesn't move around like it did before. At the same time, new plug wires, and these are S38 plug wires which don't fit the M88 all that well. And so your only option, well for me anyway, to make them look neat and to make them fit, I made these brackets right here that supports the wire central tunnel to the valve cover bolt. So I made one here between the first two cylinders, and then another one down here between cylinders 4 and 5. And that keeps everything nice and steady, and everything looks nice and neat. Otherwise, with the S38 wires, it looks a bit cockeyed once you install it, even though it all works. So that was another thing that I did. All brand new fasteners went in. I supported the oil line feed. This is the turbo feed. Supported that properly. You can see the bracket that I made right here. And then I actually put a proper catch can system in the car. It was very poorly done when I got the car. So here you can see, here's the PCV system connected to a catch can, and I have it supported off the strut tower, and it's nice short hoses and nice and neat. And then the strut brace will go above this, and it clears everything, and it kind of hides the catch can, which is kind of neat too. Of course, there's new X5 DC plugs in here as well. Let me see, I cleaned the water pipe down here and the sensors, the 3 sensors, the water sensors. And then I also installed a brand new tile 38mm wastegate. That took quite a bit of massaging to fit the Dinan turbo manifold. These are all cast iron, the tile wastegate, and I had to open up the holes to M10 to fit the studs on the Dinan manifold. So that took a bit of time and work to get that to all work, and you can kind of see it there. But it all fits real nice. It's all very tight, but it all fits real well. And then I made a new line to connect the wastegate to the turbo. and then sleeved it with some fire sleeve so it doesn't get affected by the heat. So that was another thing I did. When I got the car, it actually had an old Ray J style wastegate from the 80s, which was popular back in these cars and Porsches, and even on Datsuns too. So it had a lot of period correct stuff, and I'll show you that in a minute. So it was good to update it to the new tile wastegates, just to protect the engine and prevent any overpressure protection, prevent it from overboosting and keep the engine all safe. So that was good to get that installed. And then new air conditioning line right here. You can see that. The original one that was on the car was all cracked and had leaked all the Freon out of the car. So that's now all in. K&N cone went on. So it's actually getting cold air from behind the headlight, so that's good. What else? It's got a new Wizard cooling aluminum radiator, all brand new rubber hoses. Any hose that carried fuel, water, vacuum air, everything was replaced. So it took a little while to get all that stuff in from BMW and other vendors. And then of course all the clamps and fasteners were all replaced, as you can see. This is a brand new shroud that I put in from BMW. And then I'm running, of course, the red M635 clutch fan and a brand new Sachs clutch off the water pump. So neatened up a few things. The coil wiring I neatened up, and then of course I powder coated the bracket, and I actually have this is a brand new coil I bought from BMW, and some of the wiring was really poorly done, and so I spent a bit of time neatening things up and hiding some wires. The cold start injector, this plug was badly broken and barely holding on, so I actually bought a brand new plug and 2 clips and the connector and the rubber boot from BMW. That took up quite a bit of time to use all the factory crimps. I had to buy the factory Bosch crimp tool, but it all worked out. And then of course all new hoses. And then I took the rail off, cleaned it, painted it, put it back in. And you can see on the throttle bodies, I took the trumpets off. I had those cleaned and media blasted and then powder coated. And these reinforced couplings, I really like them. These are the original ones from Dinan. They're a little bit older style, but they work very, very well. And they were in good condition. So I cleaned them and reinstalled them. I'm reusing them. They have lots of life left in them. They didn't have any wear. So I was happy to reuse them. So these are the original ones from Dinan. Actually, coming back to the cold air side, if you guys know these Dinan cars, and I know there's not a lot out there, Steve Dinan actually used a Porsche 944 airbox that he mounted right here in the inner fender with a chrome plated tube that had a radius that came around like this. I went into the factory, I went into the turbo Porsche 944 airbox, and then that filter, a panel filter sat in there. And that was how the cars were made. At some point, this car, an owner decided that he wanted to do this cold air setup. So this is not a dine-in setup here. This was done by a previous owner. It's actually not a bad design, and so I was happy to reuse it and refurbish it. This pipe here was really badly rusted because this was mild steel, so I had it media blasted and then powder coated, and I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out. So I thought it would be good to mention that. So coming around on the intake side, excuse me, here's the intercooler. This is the factory Dinan intercooler. And I took it off and I polished it, and then I made a new bracket to support it, which I'll show you in a minute. And then I installed a brand new tile recirculating blow-off valve. The car actually had an HKS, an older HKS valve from the 90s, which worked okay. And but I was just wanted to update everything to 2023, 2024, just again to help the engine and protect it between shifts and make sure that it doesn't get over boosted. So this went on well. This is a brand new pipe that I made, and then I had a friend TIG weld the flange, the V-band flange for the blow-off valve, and everything fits really well. A little bit tight, but everything clears and there's no touching. And then you can see all the new hoses for the coolant, new expansion tank here, and the air box I had completely stripped and media blasted, and then refurbished and powder coated. And here's a better shot of the trumpets. So that all turned out real well. I had some other things powder coated while things were being at the shop, such as this bracket for the wiper motor. And you can see this car was converted to a single wiper. It's pretty neat, actually. It's the only E24 I've seen with a single wiper conversion that has a full 180-degree sweep. It works really well, and you can see how the wiper linkage was modified. Pretty interesting. Anyway, so I had this bracket powder coated, and then the cowl was also powder coated at the same time. And then a lot of cleaning up in the engine bay. The engine bay was oily and dusty and dirty, and so I did a lot of cleanup under here while everything was out. I actually had the engine out unsupported, but sitting in the engine bay, but nothing connected to it for quite a few months. I put in a new engine mount, and I had both engine mounts all I had them, I actually went through and polished them, and so I'll show you that in a sec. So under the car, let's look at the, let's see, let me get some light under here. You can see some work I did here. There's the lower intercooler pipe. I redid that pipe in aluminum. When I got the car, it was originally in steel, and it had a really bad bend in here where it looked like the car hit a curb really badly and crushed the pipe. So the car sits really low, and I'm not surprised that it sustained some damage. So I went ahead and made this new pipe and had it TIG welded. Here's another catch can that connects to the block. So now the block and the head can now breathe properly through catch cans versus how it was done before. And then I made this lower bracket here out of aluminum to support the intercooler. The way the intercooler was supported before was very, very poor, and it was shaky. So now it's very solid, and it fits really well and uses all factory mounting points and holes. So it took a little while to make that bracket. It's got almost some compound curves to it, or bends, but everything worked out well, and I was able to use that same bracket to support the catch can connected to the block. And then you can see all the new fasteners under here, all the grade 8 and 10.9 fasteners. And let's see, you can see I polished the engine mounts, and this is a brand new mount here, and all the aluminum arms were polished. And then when the engine was sitting in the car, not connected to anything, I took the opportunity to sand and paint the block in silver, so you can see some of that. The Dinan front sway bar, that's quite a bit larger than the factory one. I had that powder coated in sort of the original baby blue, and the cross member, I had that powder coated as well in metallic silver, which is one of my favorite colors. So you can see that as well. And here's the right side engine mount. So all that stuff is new, and everything worked out pretty well. You can see the turbo sort of hiding back there. See if I can get a good shot of it. So it's pretty well buried, sitting right above the cross member. but you can see it really well. And this right here, this plug was where the HKS recirc blow valve was connected. I'm going to run it without that connection for the time being just to see how the car runs. And if need be, I can always reconnect that to the new tile. It's not a problem. But we'll test that out. And you can see here where I painted the block as well and cleaned things up. So a lot of time went into this, and a lot of it was taking my time and then waiting for parts, of course. Here's the front oil cooler. It's a bit larger than the factory one, and then I made all new brackets to support it because I didn't like how it was supported before. At the same time, the front grills, I actually redid those, refinished them. And I converted the car to LED headlights, LED corner lamps. And I was actually able to buy some brand new fog lights. When I bought the car, it didn't have fog lights. So I bought brand new fog lights from Europe, and then I converted them to LED. So these will go in sometime in the next week or so. And I had the front bumper completely repainted. I had the chrome repolished. I did that here at home. The front bumper had a bad split and it was really badly damaged. So my body and paint guy did a fantastic job restoring it. And then the top of the bumper, but this is metal, I had this all repainted, of course, in the factory color. So everything came out really well, and I'm looking forward to installing that with the fog lights. When I bought the car, like I said, it didn't have any fog lights. I haven't done anything on the interior, but everything is in good shape there. I guess the only thing I did was I did install some LED lights in the interior. But yeah, and then I also purged the cooling system. It's got the new G48 blue, which I'm very picky about the coolant that goes in these cars. So it took almost 40 liters of coolant to purge all the old coolant out of it and get it to the point where I was ready to fill it up with the new G48. So that was last weekend's project. And then I did an oil change, and so the car should be ready to run in the next few days. One thing that I am doing that's a bit different as well is the dump tube off the wastegate. I'm just going to vent it to atmosphere. This was the dump tube that was on the car. It was connected to the exhaust, and I'm just going to have this just vented to atmosphere, and I'm going to have these two guys welded together, and then I'll install it. I'll probably ceramic coated polydyne it and then install it. And on that, I actually had the 3-inch downpipe and exhaust. I had that all redone by polydyne, and you can see that under the car. It's all in their high temp coating. And then I installed all brand new fasteners to connect it to the exhaust. So that turned out quite well also. So yeah, long list of work and things done. I'll show you guys the suspension and brakes. The car's actually, the front of the car is on Willwoods super lights, 4-piston, and it's got 2-piece rotors. And then the car's studded. So it's got some really nice brakes and suspension. It's sitting on ground control coilovers, and the car does sit very low. I may decide to probably raise it about 1/2 inch, just so that the oil pan doesn't get whacked when I'm driving it, and also that front spoiler doesn't get damaged. So I'm gonna actually remove these struts and probably just go through all the suspension and then probably raise the car just a bit, just to be a bit more practical. But wanted to at least show you what the suspension, the coilovers, and the brakes look like. It's funny, the guy that I bought the car from described these brakes as NASCAR brakes, so that was kind of funny. But anyways, a nice upgrade, big rotors, big vented rotors. I'll fire up the car for you. It after sitting for 6 months, it actually started like on the 3rd or 4th crank, and it was great to hear the car fire up. So here it goes. So it fires right up. And so there you have it. Anyway, I will be, let me fire it up one more time. Anyway, I'll have some more updates for you guys on the car, and hope you enjoy this catch-up video, and please like and subscribe, and I'm wishing everybody again a happy 2024. All the best. Take care.